Computer Science from BMSIT.
This call is now being recorded.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for
sir.
your precious time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your precious time, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
You can
Good
start,
morning, students. Let me start the session. Okay. So I am trying to share my screen. Please wait. Are you now able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So I hope in your previous classes, all the necessary foundation that is needed before we take off with object-oriented concepts, that is actual core Java concepts. I hope all those topics have been covered. That was what your madam had told me, that all necessary basics have been covered in yesterday's sessions. Okay. So let me just okay, in today's session, that is in this morning session, I will be explaining you about the classes and objects, constructors, then method overloading, constructor overloading. These are all the basic concepts that one must know in order for you guys to start coding. See, irrespective of the programming language that you are trying to use, okay, if you are trying to use some object-oriented programming language, it could be C++, or it could be Java, or it could be Python, or any other object-oriented programming language for that matter, okay, must support these features. You will find most of these features available in all object-oriented programming languages, okay. Only the way in which we write the syntax, okay. What do you mean by syntax? I hope you already have learned your C programming in your first year. Am I right? I think you had C programming in your first year. So you all are aware of the terms such as syntax, semantics, etc. May I know, can somebody put in the chat message, okay? Can you chat, you guys? Because this is my first experience. Usually we keep taking our classes from Cisco WebEx and Zoom, okay? I'm pretty new to. Are you all able to hear me and see the screen?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Anand sir? Anand sir? Are you
Yes,
able
sir.
to see? Are you able to see the screen and?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. But while I am keeping this screen open, my
Yes, sir.
video, okay, will not be
It's
visible.
visible.
Am
It's
I
visible.
also visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
visible. Okay.
So in Java, okay, in any programming language for that matter, okay, you have to know few key terms. Okay, the terminology that you all should be aware of are syntax. What do you mean by syntax? Okay, usually whenever we are using a language, let us not try to bring in a programming language here. I am talking about normal languages such as Kannada, Telugu, etc. Okay, whenever we are trying to use a particular language, we are supposed to follow what is called as the grammar. Okay, in order to use any language, we are required to use what is called as the grammar, and the grammar, similarly, even for a programming language, we are supposed to use grammar, and that grammar we refer to as the syntax. Syntax, okay, is nothing but the grammar of a programming language. So only the syntax of using the classes, objects, constructors, these things, okay, in the different languages will be different. Okay, but all these features, whatever I am going to discuss okay, today, you will find in all the object-oriented programming languages. Only there will be slight changes in the way we would be writing or we would be making use of these concepts in the programs. Okay, so if suppose, what is a class basically? Class is basically a collection of data and functions. Okay, data we refer to as fields. The terminology that we will be using in Java for data is fields. Okay, so and to operate on this data, we have what are called as functions, and the terminology that we use for functions, okay, the functions are called whatever you used to call as functions earlier. Those functions are given a different name here. They are now called as methods. So a class is basically a collection of, okay, fields and methods. Fields are nothing but the data, and methods are nothing but the functions that operate on that particular data. Okay, so we can try to visualize any given problem in terms of classes and their objects. Say for example, if suppose say I have a class called as furniture. Okay, for the class furniture, the data, okay, that can be necessary for any furniture can be number of legs. Okay, the number of legs may vary. Okay, say for example, for a stool, there can be 3-legged stool, or there can be a 4-legged chair. Okay, there can be 8-legged sofa, and so on. Okay, so but each of these sofa, the chair, the stool, etc. Okay, they all need, each of them need what are called as the legs, right? The number of legs may differ in each of these things. So now, if I visualize, if I assume furniture as a class, then the objects of a furniture can be chair, stool, sofa, etc. So we can try to visualize any given problem, okay, that we come across in real life, okay, in terms of what are called as classes. So classes basically are composed of what are called as the data. Okay, number of legs is one data. Okay, then say the functions or the methods that can be part of the furniture class are allow sitting. Allow sitting is one of the functions. Okay, then allow sleeping. Some of the sofas will also allow you to sleep on them. So allow sleeping is another function or method that can be part of the class furniture. So I hope now you got a brief assumption of visualization of a class and an object. So we will be looking at these classes, any given problem. Okay, any program for that matter in Java, if you are trying to write, you are supposed to write anything and everything within a class only. Okay, so in C, okay, you would have used what is called as a main function. Where to write your C programs, you would have used main function. Okay, even here, okay, we do not call main as main function. Instead, we call main as main method in Java. Okay, so anything and everything in Java should be written inside a class. Okay, including main. Even main, you are supposed to write main method even in Java, like in C. Okay, even here you are supposed to write the main method, and even the main method should be written inside a class. Okay, so I will be showing all those things, different examples. Okay, okay, let us see. Okay, so Java, being an object-oriented language, must support classes and objects. I already told that. Any problem is therefore viewed as a set of classes. Okay, if suppose I am trying to solve, okay, I am trying to write a particular application for a furniture company. So then I need to be dealing with, okay, classes and objects such as class furniture, then objects sofa, okay, and then stool, etc. Okay, so I will be viewing any problem as a set of classes and objects. You cannot imagine writing any of your Java programs without the use of the classes and their objects. How to write a class? So the syntax, I just told you, okay, what do you mean by syntax? Syntax is nothing but the grammar of using a particular entity in your program. So if you look at this particular box, what you can recall is, because you guys, I think, have already learned C language in your first year. So if you look at this structure, okay, you will get a picture of what is called as a structure, right? See, at the place of class, this is okay, very much similar to the structure what you have already seen in C language, right? So at this place, at the place of this class, okay, we were writing what was called as struct. So we were writing struct there, okay, and we used to write some name. We used to write some name for the structure. Then we used to write some declarations here. For example, say struct student, char name, int roll, float avg, etc. These kinds of declarations, we were calling them as data members in C. The members of a structure are called as data members, right? So we use a different term, as I told you at the beginning, that data in Java is referred to as the fields and the functions. Okay, whereas in a structure of C, we never used to write functions. Okay, the only extra additional thing that you find within a class are the methods or the functions. Okay, if you look at this particular example, things become pretty clear to you. Okay, see, you are supposed to use the keyword class. Before you try to write a class, you are supposed to use the keyword class here. Then it needs to have the name, some name, any name that you wish to give to your, any valid name that you wish to give to your class, you can use here. And remember one important thing, okay, try to use a capital letter at the beginning of your class. You see here, okay, D has been written in capital. You may ask me, sir, what happens if we write a demo in lowercase? Nothing is going to happen. You will still get the output. But see, most of the things what we do in our lives, we will not be doing for our purpose. Say, for example, I have written few books. Do you think I have written all those books for my reading? No. Okay. So I have written them for the benefit of the readers. Okay. That is my students. Okay. So I want them to read and understand my book. If suppose I write my book for my own understanding, nobody is going to purchase my book. So I want people to use my book for their reading. So I am doing that job for others' purpose. Similarly, if suppose you are trying to use, don't think that the programs that you are writing, you are writing for your reference only. See, fortunately or unfortunately, if you all enter software industry tomorrow, fortunately for you, unfortunately for the company who hires you. Okay, I'm just joking, don't mistake me. So fortunately or unfortunately, if you are entering the software industry, you may have to write code. Okay, and this code should be not only read and understood by you, but also it should be read and understood by others. So most of the things what we are trying to do in our lives, we are not doing them for our sake. Say, for example, in the exam, you are writing the answers. Okay, the answers what you write, who has to read and understand? The valuers who are the poor valuers who are trying to value your booklets should be able to read and understand your answers. Okay, so likewise, if you are trying to design a program in any programming language, you always have to think about others who would try to read and understand your program. So what the Java developers have done is they have used some conventions. See, you should know the difference between conventions and rules. Okay, rules cannot be broken. Conventions, can be broken. Okay, so you are not fined if you are breaking a convention, but you are fined if you are breaking a rule. See, as according to the conventions that are followed by the programmers, Java programmers throughout the world, any class name, okay, has to begin with a capital letter. See, therefore, that is the reason, that is the convention that is followed by, okay, most of the programmers who are present, most of the programmers who are writing their programs in Java will follow these conventions. So therefore, you should make it a point to use a capital letter. If suppose the class name has only one word, that word must begin with a capital letter. If suppose say there are two words, if suppose say there are two words, okay, say demo 1, ONE1. So without any space, when I am writing demo 1, without any space, if I am writing ONE, that O again should be a capital letter. That is called as camel case. That is called as camel case. See, every word, if only one word is there, first letter, it should be a capital letter. If more than one word is there, subsequent words also must have a capital letter at the beginning. That means in the name demo 1, okay, there are two words, demo and 1. Letter D should be capital. Also, letter O should be capital. So you have to remember these facts. Okay. So keeping the other programmers in mind, you have to stick on to those conventions. So that's the reason why I have used a capital letter here. Although even if you are using a smaller case D here, no problem. Okay, even then you will be getting the output, but your convention is not in tandem with the conventions followed by the other Java programmers. So that's the reason why it is recommended to use a capital letter as at the beginning, as the first letter of a class. Then these are the fields. I told fields are nothing but the data. Okay. See, the way you are trying to declare the data, here I have declared a variable A. Okay, A is one data under the type int, B is another data which is declared under the type float. So they are referred to as fields, okay, and a function. See, the way you are writing the function is almost the same. It is exactly the same as that of a C function, but you are writing a function inside the class. Okay, see, all these things have been written inside the class. Okay, after closing this function, I am writing one more closing flower brackets. Can you see this? So a class, okay, will begin with a curly brace and it will end with a curly brace. Okay, you have to remember this particular aspect. You have to notice these braces here. So there can be number of fields present here and a number of methods present, okay, within a class. There can be more than one field present in a class and more than one method present in the class. In the example shown, there are two fields A and B and there is only one method. Okay, so next, I hope you all have understood. So after having declared a class like this, see, now I have declared a class called as demo. Okay, I have declared a class called as demo. I have used a class called as demo. Once you have created a class, next thing is you have to declare an object. What is an object? Object is a basic runtime entity in an object-oriented environment. Say, for example, if suppose I had a class called class furniture, during the runtime, okay, when I am running the program, I can create an object called as a sofa or divan, or I can use chair. So they are just the runtime entities. So runtime entities that exist in an object-oriented system are referred to as objects. So now for the class demo, after having created a class like this, I am supposed to create object. How many objects I can create? I can create n number of objects. That depends on my requirement. Okay, so based on the requirement, we must identify, being programmers, we must identify how many objects are needed in a particular given situation, and so many number of objects we are supposed to create. Okay, so here for the class demo, okay, I am trying to create, you see this particular example, you can create an object, okay, in two different ways. That is, you can write a name of the class and the name of the object in one line. Name of the class, what is the name of the class that I have used in the previous example? Demo is the name of the class. And here, okay, what am I trying to do? I'm using the same name demo, okay, class name and object name. So I want my object to be named as D1. And in the second line, you can write, actually here I am making use of two lines. Okay, so first, in the first line, I am writing class name and object name, and I have terminated this with a semicolon. Then in the next line, I am writing name of the same. You see the name what you have used here. Okay, what is the name that has been used? D1 is the name that has been used. So the same D1, okay, has to be used here also, is equal to new. This is a keyword that you are supposed to use. This is the syntax of creating an object. You are definitely required to use a keyword called as new, and the same class name what you had used in the previous line. What was the name of that class name? Demo. You are supposed to write the same class name here, and you are supposed to write empty parentheses. Okay, this parenthesis can be empty, or it can also take some arguments. I will talk about them later on. So how to create an object? What is an object? Object is a runtime entity in an object-oriented environment. How to create an object? Simple. Write the class name and object name in first line. Put a semicolon. Terminate that okay, line with a semicolon. Then write the same object name on the LHS is equal to, use the keyword new. So all letters of this word should be in lowercase only. So okay, you are supposed to write the keyword new here. Then use the same class name, whatever has been used here on the RHS, followed by, okay, this is important. You are supposed to use what are called as the parenthesis symbol. So the parenthesis symbol should come after the class name. Parenthesis is not there here, okay, in the first line. It should be used in the second line. This is one way of creating an object. Instead of writing these things in two lines, you can create in a single line. You see, we are combining both first line and second line to form a single line. See how the way I am creating an object, that is D2. Okay, while creating D1, I use two lines. While creating D2, I used a single line. Name of the class, name of the object. Instead of putting a semicolon, okay, I am not writing semicolon here. Instead, I am writing equal to, then new, name of the class, followed by parentheses, and finally I am supposed to write the semicolon at this particular point. So you can merge these two lines to form a single line. So either you can create an object in this manner or in this manner. When I create an object, okay, well, you all must be knowing that whenever you declare a variable, some memory has to be allocated. Okay, when you are creating an object, you see here, for this particular class, okay, for this particular class, let me just erase this. In this particular class, that is demo, how many fields are there? What are the field names? A is one field, A is one field, and A is one field, and B is another field. So two fields are there. So whenever I create an object for this class, okay, in the next slide, I am creating an object I am creating two objects. Namely, what are the names of the objects? D1 is one object, and D2 is another object, right? So I am basically creating two objects, D1 and D2. So what is happening? For D1 also one block of memory is allocated. Okay. For D1, it is allocating one block of memory, and for D2 also it is allocating one block of memory. And how many locations are there? Block means it can have n number of locations. You look at the number of locations. How many locations are there? Two locations are there. Why two? Because in the class, how many fields are there? There are two fields. What are the fields? A and B are the two fields. Okay. So in the memory blocks that are allocated for D1 and D2, you will find two locations, one called as A, another one called as B. Here also, okay, you will find there is a separate copy of A and B inside D2. Okay, so you must know this particular memory arrangement to be able to understand all other subsequent concepts.